So I want to make a graph from this data. This data, I have a whole bunch of stuff in here, and I could just highlight all of it and graph it. But what I really want for this experiment is the trial and the density. We'll come to that in a second. And so what I did was I highlighted trial and hit the command button and highlighted density. The command button is right next to the space bar. I went to charts. On newer versions of Excel, you go to insert and then you select chart. There are two kinds you're going to use in science. Column is a bar graph, and scatter is what you can do to create a line graph. This line is not something that you are going to use. So this time I'm going to use a column graph because my independent variable is not continuous. So my independent variable was just trial, and there's nothing in between 1 and 2. There's no trial 1.5. There's my graph. It looks pretty good right out of the gate. In my example, I have an extra blank line, so if I just inserted a row, it would add that blank line, and if I then delete the row, it would take it away. It created a legend, which is not very useful, so I'm going to delete it, and that's nice because then it spreads everything out a little bit better. It gives it a title. It automatically gives a title to the heading of the x-axis, so or the y-axis. That's not really that useful, so I can just click on it and change it, no problem. I don't know what I'll call it, practice graph. I mean, the data is not very useful, so there's not much useful title you can do, but I also want labels on the axes. So I'm going to go to chart layout, and you see all these drop-down menus right here. On the newer version, you go to chart design, and it's one drop-down instead of separate ones. But here's where I can add a horizontal axis title, and I can add a vertical axis title. And I'll give it a meaningful title, put some units in there. And for chemistry, this is going to be just fine. And if you're taking IB classes, you need to add error bars. So if I click back on the graph again, I'm going to chart layout, and I go to error bars right here. Rarely going to use these in this class. Biology uses this. Error bar options, I can put a fixed value. So if they're all the same, I can just do that. And then they're all the same. They're all in there. It looks beautiful. If they're not all the same, then I'm going to go back to that error bar. I'm going to go error bar options. Again, this time I'll go custom. So in custom, now I can specify how far it goes up and how far it goes down. So how far is it going to go up? Right here, I calculated the uncertainty using my spreadsheet. How far is it going to go down? The exact same set of numbers. Hit OK. And now you can see it put those error bars in there, but my error on number 2 is a bit bigger than the rest. For the next set of data, I am going to make a scatter graph. So this time I'm trying to compare two different things. And so I highlight all the data. I'm going to go to charts, and this time make a scatter. And you can choose any one of these, whichever one you like. I'm going to pick this one just so it's really obvious that I chose scatter. Again, it picks its own title, puts in a legend, all that stuff not terribly useful. I redid it on the next page, did a better title and stuff. So now I see, well, my data is kind of clustered just in one corner. I'm going to change the scale. I'm going to double click on this vertical axis, and now I can change the minimum and maximum. I change the minimum to 35. I don't want it to be exactly my lowest value, but I want it to just spread that data out. I did 35 on the example, so I need to do 35 now. And I'm going to do 35 on the bottom one too. So double clicking when you get to horizontal values, see how those change. And then this will pop up. Lots of things I can change, but I'm just going to focus on this one right now. Now I've got a graph that's kind of nice and spread out. Looks pretty good. All those dots don't really have a lot of meaning, so I need to add a trend line. So if I go to chart layout, you can see trend line is just one of the drop downs. If I know what I want, I could choose it there, but it's also in here, and there's a couple things in here that you want to see. So there are all those options. I'm going to choose options here. And here, if I wanted to, I could extend the line, extrapolate the line in different directions. I could set the intercept, and you can display the equation and the r-squared value on the chart. I'm going to move that so that you can see it, and yes, that is one beautiful graph. What if I made a mistake? This is cool too. This was actually supposed to be 100. I just change it to 100, and the graph automatically changes in response to it. And so if you make a mistake, you can always go back and change it without deleting your graph. And finally, if I was to print this right now, it would be on 2 pages, and it would chop right in half of the graph. So when you're about to print it, just go to Layout, and this box right here, click it. It'll make it 1 page wide, 1 page tall, or whatever you want. I'm going to do landscape so that I get all of it fit on 1 page. I'm going to have one nice, clean page that has my spreadsheet and my 2 graphs, and wow! Good luck with it.